Mike was diagnosed in June 2010. He was very ashamed and very embarrassed, and after the diagnosis he got a PSA level of 27, and he was in the hospital at the urology clinic within 2 weeks. They arranged for him to have an MRI scan in the August of 2010, but he refused to go, and I although I'd seen the CT scan and the biopsy and I knew that it was quite severe, the fact that they'd arranged for him to have an MRI scan made me think that it was more urgent than I'd originally anticipated, because they'd said that he could survive 5 to 10 years with prostate cancer. He'd not gone to see the doctor to get it diagnosed because his knowledge of cancer was 30 years out of date. The only immediate knowledge of cancer he had was when his mum died in the 70s. The message is not getting out to people like Mike, because prostate cancer screening doesn't happen as a matter of course. You have to request it. Not like breast cancer. Women are routinely checked for breast cancer. Men are not checked for prostate cancer. They have to request it. There was certainly a lot of support available for us. The Macmillan nurses at North Manchester General were fantastic with dealing with the financial aspects of Mike's illness, because obviously he couldn't work after he was diagnosed. And the Macmillan physiotherapists were also excellent. There was one who referred me to Winston's Wish, which is the bereaved children's charity. She also referred me to the Musicians Benevolent Fund because he was a superb pianist, and was very supportive. And I could have done with some help with getting him to the MRI scan sooner. Somebody to come to the house, a man preferably, to persuade him that this was in his interests. The only reason that I could get him there was the fact that I said, if you don't do this, you're gonna be dead. If you don't go and have this MRI scan, you're gonna be dead. And then when he got there, the only people there were technicians, and I could hear this. And they, because he was in that much pain, he couldn't get on the scanner. So that was very difficult. And in the end, I found on the Macmillan community website information about the spinal tumour, and I thought, he's got that. And that's when I called emergency services at the hospital. I said, you'll need 2 people to get him down the stairs. And I told the hospital, I said, get him on whatever medication you need and get him under the scanner. And he was having an operation to remove the tumour on his spine within 3 days. There's a lot of support for carers in the community, but it's on the edge. It's about emotional support. It's not practical support. So there wasn't any lifting training, for example. There wasn't any lifting training. There wasn't anything about you need a schedule of medication. The district nurses were fantastic. They were a lot of help. They gave me, they organised the bed downstairs, and the doctor's surgery organised a wheelchair. But I should have been prepared that, somebody should have told me, you're going to have to put some of your activities on the back burner. Nobody warned me that he would become rectally incontinent. I knew that he had a colostomy bag from June 2010. I just accepted that was the way it was. But I didn't get told. It just happened one day, and he was mortified. He was mortified. So I think when I knew that he was dying, I think I did my grieving then. I did my grieving then, because he was no longer the man I married. And I just accepted it's what you do as a wife, isn't it? He wasn't any longer the man I married. So even though he wasn't no longer the man I married, then I would I would do what he asked. I would allow him to die at home, and I would take care of him until he did so. And I think I did that to the best of my ability. He said, I never wanted to be dependent on anybody else, he said. I said, well, I'm your wife. That's what I do.